Right guys, I get a lot of questions about how I deal with walls that are bad for tiling. Well, today I've got a great example for you. This one is terrible. I mean, look at this ridge here. It's an absolute horror. So today I'm going to show you what I do to correct it with the limited tools and flattening skills that I have. So if all goes well, by the end of this video, we'll turn this monstrosity into a perfect level wall. So first up, I like to treat walls a bit like I do with a floor and put a level around it just to see what I'm working with. I start to discover it's pretty terrible. The top and bottom are set back quite some way. And as we can't bend tiles, it's down to me to sort it out before I can even think about tiling. Preparation is key for a high quality finish, and even though I'm using these large format porcelain tiles and I can build them out a little bit, this wall in its current state would be way over the limits and in the danger zone of the tiles not bonding properly. With smaller tiles on bad walls, sometimes you can just roll with it, but it's still not ideal. So the way I'm going to go about it is with Backerboard. Backerboard is brilliant for correcting bad walls, as it sticks very well and comes in many different sizes, as well as being waterproof, and you can stick it and screw it to any surface. First thing I do with my level is identify the high point. Then I need to decide, is it a bump that can be removed or is it just the shape of the wall? In my case here, it's the shape of the wall. The whole of the top third is proud and it's not something I can remove. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to build the rest of the wall out to that level. So I take some 6mm Backerboard, as that looks about the size of the gap at the top and the bottom. I put it behind the level and see where I can place it, taking my level from the high point. I move it around the wall, drawing a line in all the places I still read level, accounting for some adhesive once it's stuck. So I'm basically marking areas where I can add the 6mm and it still be level. I can't go outside of them areas, otherwise my wall will start running out of level the other way. Anywhere that I can't put the 6mm, I'll have to fill it manually or use a thinner bit of Backerboard. So you can see now I'm just putting some crosses through my high point and I'm marking the area that I'll have to fill up to. Then my plan would be to use a 4mm Backerboard in the main area where I have a big gap, but 6mm is too much. So I'm making a step in the board basically, and then I'll fill in the difference between them with tile adhesive. So having different sizes of Backerboard is good for this process. So using tile adhesive, I start sticking the Backerboard to the wall, making sure I'm level with my bump once stuck and checking that it's flat across. You can see I'm adding the 4mm board as far as I can go before it starts going out of level. So all the gaps that are left now will have to be filled back with tile adhesive to my high point. So with the flat side of my notch trowel, I start filling the gaps with a rapid set flexible adhesive, trying to smooth it as best as I can. It's not the most fun using tile adhesive to build up, but you can only really use this for filling over Backerboard. I just punch on, checking my level as I go. I'm not too worried about how pretty it looks. I'm just focusing on bringing the wall back to flat and level and in the limits where I can fix the rest with the tiling itself. Sometimes I'll do this, then come back the next day and add more over the top once it's gone off. It's a lot easier to build it out once the previous layer has set. So you can see now it's not perfect, but it's 100 times better than where we started. I can actually work with this now, and let's not forget what it was like before. It's a bit wavy from my filling, but it's level with no massive gaps. Right, let's jump onto some tiling and I'll show you how I correct the rest with the tiles themselves. So after that fun bit of packing out, I'm now left with more of a generic bad wall, where it's a bit dippy and not 100% straight. With my bottom tile dry placed here, you can see where I still have a dip in the middle of the wall, as there is a gap on the top of the level. So what I like to have is a range of notch trowels to help me feather it back straight. So I've got 6, 8, 10 and 12mm trowels here. As the bottom is the new level point I want to come off of, I'm going to spread that with a 6mm and then above it with an 8mm. This should enable me to sit the first tile level with a good connection to the wall. All the tiles will have 10mm spread on the back regardless. It's just the wall I'm correcting. So I spread my wall with my 6 and 8mm trowels and I'm ready to fix and level up my first tile. So everything now comes off of this, so I give it a good whack and make sure that it's good and level on both sides. And you can see here it's now spot on. Then I will spread the whole of the next row with the 8mm trowel as I'm still in the dip. That should bring me back to my bump, where if I need to, I can go back to the 6mm, the same as the bottom. So I fix the other tiles as normal, making sure I'm flat across and level upright. Then spreading the next section, adding my level clips, then I'm good for my next tile. Again, with a 10mm spread on the back of it, I just push it into place and give it a whack. Now I can use the bigger level, which is more accurate to see where I'm at. And as you can see here, that is working out perfectly. With no gaps, it's completely flat and level. And it looks like I can continue using the 8mm trowel over my bump area, so that's what I will do. If it was looking tight behind the level, then I would go back down to the 6mm trowel. It's all just about making that judgment to see how much adhesive you think you'll need. So now I'm happy, I just carry on, and once it's all done, I end up with something like this. You can see it's completely flat and level, which is very satisfying considering the state the wall was in to begin with. So all walls are different. Sometimes you may have a bump you can chop out, sometimes you may need to fill some little bits of adhesive, or sometimes tiles like this, you may need to shape a whole new wall with Backerboard, but everything is possible and the preparation is key before you start tiling. So hopefully you picked up some tips there, guys, and the ways I go about it with the tools I have around me. This bathroom is now complete and has turned out really lovely, and I have a detailed video on how I did this niche right here. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.